This tutorial will assume you already deployed a predictive web service. If you want to know how to create a model, click here. If you want to learn how to deploy a model, click here. You also need some kind of text editor to work with R code. I'd recommend Notepad++ or Sublime Text 2. I'll be using Sublime Text 2 for this video. Today I'll be showing you how to call your web service API using R to feed your model new datasets and to obtain predictions. The first thing we need to do is mark our deployed web service as ready for production. So once you're in Azure ML, you click on Web Service, and that will take you to a list of the web service that you have. And last time we deployed Titanic model-deployed web service. So you want to click on that, and that'll take you to your web deployment screen. So once you're in your web deployment screen, click on Configure, and in the configuration screen, this is where you can set up the documentation for your API. And you don't have to do this, but I've gone ahead and labeled each of the descriptions for good style. By the way, if you're on this screen and you don't see an input schema or an output schema, it means that your model is not ready to be deployed. It probably means you're either missing an input or an output, or you don't have a schema in your deployed model. So once you're satisfied with all your documentation, just go up and mark your web service as ready for deployment. And by switching this switch from no to yes, and by it being on yes, your web service is now live. The next thing you want to do is save your changes. Click on the Save button below to solidify your documentation and the status change from not ready to ready for production. The next thing we'll want to do is we want to go grab our code to ping our API. So you want to go back to the dashboard by clicking on Dashboard, and that'll bring you back to your deployment dashboard. You'll notice that there's an API key ready for you to be copied. You will need this to open up a connection to your API. Every web service will have its own unique API key, and this is how you keep your connection secure, so don't share this unless you want someone to actually use it. For this video, I've generated a fake API key to demonstrate to you where the key goes, but when it comes to actually making an API call, I will be censoring the real API key. So go ahead and click the copy button on the right hand side here, and it'll copy it to your clipboard. And then I'm going to open up Sublime and just copy and paste it in here for now. So we're going to use this as a staging area for now. Now that we have our key, let's go grab our code. Azure has pre-generated some sample code that we can use to easily adapt to our own uses. To get that code, we have to click on the API help page under the entry where it says request and response. So click on that link. Now that you're on the API request page, you will start to see a lot of code, but don't worry, don't panic. I'll walk you through it. First thing of interest will be your post request URL. This URL will be inserted into your pre-generated code already, so don't worry about it too much. It's just if you're a veteran programmer and you want to set up your own custom post calls, you will need this URL and the API key and the dataset parameters, and you're good to go. You'll also notice that Azure ML supports JSON formats. Moving on, you see the request body. And look, the documentation we gave earlier is here. And also our input schema is here, and it tells you exactly what the JSON key names are and what the variable types they'll be expecting. By the way, case matters, so this is all case sensitive. And that's why I didn't capitalize male or female in the description, but I did capitalize C, Q, and S for the embarked attribute. And behold, this is the JSON input, and this is the format that the API expects your questions to be asked if it is to be given a prediction. Then there's the response body, same style as your request body, but notice that there's two extra entries, scored label and score probabilities. These will be your predictions. Lastly is our sample response. This is a preview of a blank request. If you do not see this, or if this sample response is blank, it means your web service is not ready. I would go back to your model and check the inputs, the outputs, and the schema. And lastly is our pre-generated code. It supports C#, Python, and R. Since this is an R version of the tutorial, I'll be showing you in R. And this code's been pre-generated exactly and uniquely for our web service. You just need to add your API key and add the datasets you want it to score and predict. By the way, what I'm about to show you will only work for 32-bit R console. So let's copy and paste this into our text editor. For me, I'll be using Sublime. I currently have Sublime set up for R, and let's paste this directly below where we staged our API key. Now we have to modify our code. Let's start by placing our API key in the proper position. So go ahead and cut your API key. Now scroll down and you'll notice that your pre-generated code already tells us where the API key should go. So just paste that there within the quotes. Next thing is we want to give it some test parameters. So I'll use the same parameters I did in the last video, which returned a 0 for not survived and a 40% chance of survival. So third class, I am a male, age 24, one spouse, no kids, $20 for a fare, and embarked from port C. You also notice up here that we are referencing two libraries. If this is your first time using these libraries, you'll want to go install those packages. I'll provide the syntax on the screen to install those packages if you do not have them. Go ahead and pause the video if you have to. And with that, the final adjustments have been made and your code is now ready to be copied and pasted into R console. Just go ahead and select all, copy it up, switch to your R console, and by the way, this is 32-bit R console, and then just paste it in. Here we go. Paste. And wait for it. It's making the prediction. It's making its call. And it's done. Hit enter again to view the results, and then check it out. 40%, right where it was supposed to be, and it returned 0 for not survived. And don't worry about the excessive amounts of quotes and backslashes. R is just returning a literal string. The quotes and backslashes aren't actually there. Those are called escape characters in programming. And if you want an interpreted string, just type in cat results, and it will return you the interpreted string. And just for fun, let's go back and change our parameters a bit. So from male, I'm going to change myself to female. I'm going to go and copy and paste that into our console and see what I get. Alright, let's see what my survival odds are if I'm female instead of male. So I'm going to go ahead and enter again and check it out, 57%. So changing my sex increased my survival rate by 17%. And yes, I would survive. And that's it. You just concluded the tutorial on how to obtain predictions from your web service.
If you like what you just saw, subscribe to our channel or leave us a comment. Let us know if there's a topic you want us to cover, and be sure to check us out at datasciencedojo.com. Until next time.